Hello lovely listeners, this is OddsocksTango, your editor on the Mirage Arcane YouTube channel. I wanted to record this as a bit of an explanation. Unfortunately, when we recorded this episode, we didn't realise until we got to our break time that we hadn't actually begun to record the session. So we quickly remedied that, and what we have left is just the second half of the episode. So I am going to give you guys a little bit of a recap of the first half so that you can be all caught up while you dive into the second half of Wrath of the Fated, episode 1. So our story began in the small seaside village of Phrea, where our heroes, through various circumstances, happened to find themselves. All patrons in the village's only inn and tavern, the Speckled Eel, they fell into idle yet amiable conversation as they had their breakfast. Through their interactions, the audience was introduced to our party. There was Storm, a water Genasi, who's been in town for a while and has managed to secure herself a position down at the docks to earn some coin. Next, Thompus, a Dwarven man who's only been in town for about a week, but has still managed to find a position at the Speckled Eel, serving drinks, wiping down tables, doing dishes, whatever odd jobs need to be done. Next, we met Emma, a half-elven woman who seems to be passing through town, and then Winter, another half-elven woman who was a bit more mysterious and less open than Emma, but also seemed to be passing through town. And finally, we met Kash, a half-orc whose social skills seemed to be a bit rustier than most people's. As they had their conversation, they found themselves interrupted by the sudden appearance of a pale, ill-looking man that Thompus and Storm recognized as Phineas LaCroix, one of the farmers who lives on the outskirts of the village. Phineas asked Cassandra, the innkeeper, if her husband could help him rid his farm of swarms of rats that were destroying his family's only livelihood. Though Cassandra was unable to help, she asked if our heroes would be willing to help Phineas, who gladly offered them a reward of 10 gold pieces each in order to help save what remained of his farm. They all agreed and headed out to the house to deal with the issue. Once they arrived at the farm, they made quick work of the rats, labouring all the while to the sound of raucous cheers from Tilly, Phineas's 11-year-old daughter, who seemed quite excited about the whole spectacle. When the work was done, they helped to destroy the bodies of the vermin and of the cattle that had succumbed to whatever ailment they seemed to bring. As they all worked to clear the farm, they noticed that, like Phineas, Tilly and his wife Hester both looked quite unwell. It was also clear by the poorly state of what crops did remain that something was amiss with the farm, and possibly with the land it stood on. The heroes investigated, and though the well and troughs looked fairly sound to Emma's inspection, Storm found traces of magic trailing in thin, shimmering trails along the ground back in the direction of the foaming glade, the nearby swamp. Phineas paid what he promised, though many of our heroes chose not to take it, or to only take a partial payment, in deference to what he'd lost. Tilly, his young daughter, took a liking to Kash in particular when he carved her a tiny drawing on a piece of wood, and in turn she fashioned him a flower crown, which he donned proudly. And at that point, we took our break. Now, before we head into the second half, I do want to point out, unfortunately, we had a few technical difficulties toward the beginning of the second half with regard to the mic picking up my voice. So, there's some crackles, there's some dips, but it does even out about a third of the way through the second half. So, bear with it, and I hope you enjoy what remains of the Wrath of the Fated episode 1. And we are back! Thank you for being patient while we took our break. Getting right back into it. So you guys have thwarted all of the swarming rats, and you have found out some very interesting information about the LaCroix farm. Phineas LaCroix has told you to inquire with Linus to see if he knows anything about Barnabas and his lack of appearances recently. So it's about, it's coming up on midday as you head back. The sun is high in the sky, and it's a beautiful day as you make your way back to the tavern. Because it's such a small village,
you know that this is a place to go for any sort of kind of interactions and stuff. As you walk in, Emma, Sandra gives you like glances at you, and then glances back and is like, "Oh, shoes! I see that blood. Please, shoes."
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I'll go.
Thank
go
you.
back out and clean them off before.
I try not to be too harsh, but I don't prefer to have blood tramped through my inn. Thank you.
Thompus grumbles and goes, "Oh no, get the mop."
Thank you, Thompus. The rest of you, please, if you're similarly inclined, please take off the boots. We can have them cleaned. No problem. But we just want to keep the floors tidy if possible. How did everything go?
Mixed bag, to be honest.
What do you mean? Were you able to get rid of the rats?
Yes, but they don't seem to be exactly the only problem.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Yeah, we don't either. Is Linus about?
That's him over in the corner there.
He looks up from his beer and he's like, "You're looking for me. What do you want?"
Hold on, I've got to mop up some shit.
Well, it seems that there's some contaminant coming from the glades. It's turning the water and the soil, putting a miasma in the whole area.
What the fuck are you talking about? Miasma. There's nothing wrong with the water.
Well, you go over there and drink what them cattle have been drinking and tell me how you feel about it then. Anyway, we're told there's a mate of yours comes in to do some trading from the glade. Where's he been about lately?
You hear the footsteps of Bennett. He's the proprietor's husband, but he also serves as the head of the village watch, or what serves as the village watch. He's well known throughout the village and kind of seen. They don't really have a village master, but if they were to have one, he would be one. Are you asking about Barnabas? It was talking to me. I know. Sorry, Linus. It's just I was wondering as well. I've not seen him, and I was speaking to Maud earlier. She was asking me about Cypress Root and if we'd seen him. Do you know anything? From the corner over here, you hear Cyrus. Cypress Root, and he chugs back another drink. He doesn't have much to add, but he's well into his cups at this point, coming up on midday. He's not the most coherent, but he is pretty entertaining. Linus rolls his eyes. Oh, fool. I've not heard... Sorry.
No, like I was saying to this man here, seems to be some kind of sickness in the lands coming from the glades.
I thank you to lower your voice. We don't know that there's a sickness there. If there is, we don't need to panic anybody.
You asked me a question, I answered it, I'm sorry. Subtlety isn't something we orcs or half-orcs are famous for.
Well,
sailors even less so.
Well, I'm asking you to please be a little mindful of what you spread in my town.
Well then, do you have somewhere we can speak that's a little more private? So we can discuss these things without having to worry about prying ears?
We could go to the storeroom. There's no point. Can we just not speak of poisons, whatever it is, contamination? I'm sure it's fine. You were asking about Barnabas, as was I. Linus? And Linus kind of kills the rest of his beer, lets out a bit of a... Yeah, I know him. We're friends. I've not seen him in a few days. Actually, in a couple of weeks. It's not like him. I've not heard at all from... You're saying you think this thing is coming from the glade?
Well, Storm here sensed something come from that direction, and if the people there, they're not appearing at the times they usually would be worried something might have happened to them.
Yes, we're sure it's probably nothing. It's hopefully nothing, but we would just like to make sure. And the farmer at the court said you would be the most well versed in the glade. He was very empathetic that it was a dangerous place to go, but we would just this town has been so kind to me, at least, and it seems like to most of us, that we just like to make sure that nothing bad happens to it.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, of course, I know some stuff. I'm the only person in the village who's been there. I could potentially get you there.
Oh, that would be that would be great. I'm sure you would like to reassure yourself that your friend is okay.
Are you? Are you sure? All right, thanks. Unfortunately, I have things to be doing today.
If
I
you
have
want,
to get back.
we could put some gold on credit here for you, keep you in beer for quite a bit.
I like. Listen, I don't need gold, but I have a schedule to keep, and like Barnabas, I like to stick to mine. There are people who depend on me and the docks to continue to run. Best I can do is plan to go end of tomorrow. There's things to get sorted before we head
I'm sure
out.
that'll be all right.
It'll take a few days travel. Barnabas had his ways of getting here without that. He never shared them with me. I only know the long route. But I can get to you.
If there were any tasks you had need doing, I could expedite it, I'm sure. My colleagues would be amenable to taking it.
He kind of looks at you and kind of sucks his teeth like. No, I'm good. I mean, I suppose if you want to help, nets. Not sure how you are with a needle. Unfortunately, there's not a whole pile that can be done. I'll have to let all of the fishermen know that I'll be going. And someone else, I'll have to arrange for a replacement. Gone, etc.
Is there anything we should do to prepare to go into the glade?
Well, if you have weapons, bring them. He looks up and down. He looks you up and down and kind of notices how flimsy your dress is, and kind of shakes his head and makes like a clucking sound. You have some trousers. They'd benefit you. You don't want the things in the glade crawling up that dress of yours. Sturdy shoes.
Well, how do you know that?
Trust me.
Teasing. This turns into pants. It's fine.
Well, that's a neat trick. So, it just prepare yourself. The foaming glade is not a place for the faint of heart. And it's going to be a bit of a hike.
Yes,
Good job.
thank you for your warning. So we should meet here again tomorrow at dawn, or what would suit you best?
Not dawn. I need tomorrow to finish preparing. Meet here at dinner time tomorrow. We'll head out from then.
Oh, is it not more dangerous to start out?
Are you questioning me?
No, of course you know the glade better. That's why we need your assistance. I was
You
just
don't want
wondering.
someone in here telling me how to. Listen. I was doing this from you were knee high to. I know what I'm at. Now,
You need another drink, Linus.
yes, please, Thompus. Good man. And he perks up a little and shouts over, "Oi, Cassandra! Sure you can spare him?" And she's you can see from her expression that she's been like really not so eavesdropping time. So she's looking really worried, and she's looking really just like, oh shit. And she nods really quick and says, yeah, absolutely, Thompus. Feel free to take a few days off. Eudora can keep things going, and I'll have Tucker to help me. Tucker is tuning his lute, and he kind of looks up. Mom, I don't want her. And she just gives him a look, like the mum look of like, you're going to do it, and you're going to shut up about it while you do it. And he kind of deflates. Oh, fine. Whatever. And Linus sort of chuckled. Young ones. Awesome. Alright. He kind of takes the pint that Thompus has brought him, and he just chugs it in one. Lets out a vicious burp, stands up and pats his belly. Alright. I'll go get my things. Situation sorted. Storm, I'll need your help. I'll need your help in the morning. Just make sure that what's his name? What's the Calvin? The little speckle-faced fuck who comes by the dock. I need to get him set up. Making sure the dock stays all right. All of that. Can you do that? Hello.
Yes.
And he just gives a sharp nod and he's like, "Right, you can. Thanks. I'm off. Things to do. Should try the stew tonight. It's good." And with that non sequitur,
Do I know the little speckle-faced quote-unquote fuck? Or no?
Yeah, he is one of the. He's the eldest kid of farming families. And he doesn't want to do the farm, be a fisherman, Mom. So he's been hanging around the back, kind of loitering and kind of getting but Linus knows he wants to be doing something, so he's like, fuck it, I'll put him to work.
What time of day is it?
It's just afternoon. The lunch is out. If you guys want to break for lunch or whatever, people are starting to kind of come and go frequently at lunchtime. No
I'll
market.
keep working through lunch.
Okay.
I would like to, or Emma would like to ask, it's a Bennett Turner who was the leader of the town's guard, right?
Oh, after a fashion, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a village watch, but
Yeah,
he's
village watch.
one of the most respected men in the village, and people look to him to sort of head those things.
Excuse me, sir. Do you know where we can find Maud? I have some questions I would like to ask her before we venture forwards. It's best to have as much information as you can, really.
Yeah, yes, of course. This time of day, Maud usually actually comes in for tea, so I'm expecting her at any moment, really. She takes a break to just kind of make sure she's sorted. Just kind of as he says that, Maud actually is in and nods about and looks at everyone and smiles. "Oh, Cassandra, how are you?" And Cassandra, "I'm well, Maud, how are you?" "The usual." And she kind of gives like a very sage, kind smile and nod. As she kind of moves to go sit at her usual stage.
Emma goes sort of to sit down next to her and says, "Excuse me, ma'am. Can I buy you a drink? I have some questions I think you can help me with."
"Oh, hello, dear. No need to buy me a drink. but I'm happy to answer any question. What is your name?
My name is Emma. Emma
Hello.
Brookleaf.
It's good to meet you. I'm Maud. I'm the medic. Thistlefoot. And she kind of smiles at you, and she looks a little bit. She doesn't look ill or anything, but she does look like it's been a hectic morning.
You see, the thing is, we've just come from the Lacroix farm. They were having some rat problems, but it turns out that both the father and the daughter is feeling unwell. And initially, we were thinking that it was maybe the water or the food, but my friend or acquaintance, I should say, we just met today, Storm over there, and she points towards the other end. Yeah, she has sort of a feeling with nature, as you can say, and she detected that something was not well. The Mr. Bennett over there doesn't want us to speak too loudly about it, but I was just wondering, have people been getting quite ill in like the past week's time?
She looks a little concerned, and she thinks, and she kind of small nods and says, "Well, I have noticed a slight uptick in the usual seasonal disorders. I suppose that every year that you get the different illnesses that pass around, and it being such a close knit village, it does tend to travel quite quickly. There have been a higher number than usual in my of my quarters, and I've been doing my best to sort of. It has been a bit more difficult than I expected, but that could be due to the fact that I've not received any new cypress root, or indeed a few items that I need glade to really make medicine more potent and more useful. I'm working with basic herbs. I don't know what else to do. I'm sure venturing into the swamp myself and risk my life, I don't know what to do about that, unfortunately.
Kash moves over to the table and
she kind of goes, "Oh,
Sorry.
hello."
I was also with my friend Emma here up at the farm earlier cleaning it out.
Indeed.
If you stop and think about it, this uptick would it mostly be people who live in the general outskirts of the glade.
Why do you say that? Or is it because you believe that this is caused by something in the glade? I've not heard of anything like that before.
Well, our friend Storm over there, Greenie, well, she has a way with certain natural magics, and she could sense something amiss in that
I'm sorry,
direction.
sir. I'm sorry, sir. I believe that is very much a case of the vine calling the. And she sort of gives you a little smirk.
I don't care. Probably. I've too much about social niceties. I'm afraid I've mostly been not talking for 14 years, so you'll have to forgive my roughness. But
Perhaps a bit of effort might be required, but it's certainly worth it. Storm is a lovely girl.
I've no doubt. Just because she's green doesn't mean she's nice. I don't know what you mean. Anyway, this illness. Have they been mostly from the borders of the glade?
She thinks about it, and she kind of. Yes. I suppose I've really noticed. But now that you've brought it up, quite a few of them. are from the borders. We do have a few in town as well. Fortunately, that have come to my my home recently. Truth be told, I am running out of beds at the moment. But as I said, I'm treating them the best I can. But I'm ill-equipped for it, unfortunately.
I'm sure you're trying your best, Maud. As a fellow trained in the medical arts, we work with what we can work with and do our best. But you say you're in need of cypress roots and some other things that you usually use for your healing arts.
The lovely Bartabas, he often comes to my home trades. The village would not have done so well as it is without his contributions. But nobody here really goes into the glade. We rely heavily on it. His absence has been sorely noted of late. I need cypress root. I need bark of the willow. I could use some water dragon. Swamp root, essentially. All of these things will help with the creation of different salves and tonics that will help to ease the pain and suffering of those who are sick.
Well, we've made arrangements with Linus to head that way tomorrow evening. If you were to have a list ready for us, we could see about what we could collect on the way, or perhaps trade with the people of the glade once we arrive.
Now, she looks both excited and terrified at the notion. You're going into the glade? Oh my. I mean...
Yes, Linus will guide us, and we would be quite a few people. We would protect each other. We've been well informed of how dangerous it is, and we're quite aware of the risk, but he hasn't seen Barnabas in weeks either, so...
Well, I suppose if anyone is going to get you there and back safely, it would Linus. Well suited. All right. Yes, absolutely. I will compile a list. I will make sure that you get it. And I would be greatly in your debt. Should you manage to procure these medicinal plants that I need, I'd be happy to brew you up some healing salves. Maybe provide a healer's kit. I'm afraid I cannot offer much in the way of monetary compensation, but warriors such as yourselves, if you're venturing into the unknown, healing salve could be quite beneficial.
I prefer usefulness over currency any day, thank you.
That
Noted.
sounds very lovely. I'm sure we're very grateful.
All right then. I'll get right to that. Just after I have my supper.
Of course.
Enjoy.
You must have had a long day. Please make sure to take care of yourself as well.
I'll do my best, dear. Thank you. And she goes back to, eating and trying to. You can tell that there's a lot of weight on her shoulders in it. Things aren't looking great. But she's holding up okay. Let's see. So, and it kind of comes over. So you're going in to look for Bartabas. Mentioning a contamination, is it right to assume that you're going to try and find the cause?
Yes, I just got a couple days off from work.
I'm sure Cassandra must be feeling very concerned. A couple of days off. He's joking, like, obviously, but at the same time, as nice as Cassandra is, she does run a tight ship. Her inn to run smoothly. So you can see that it kind of worries him that she was so eager to give you.
This Barnabas fella, he seems like he was an important cog
Indeed,
in
he
his town survival.
was. I didn't know him well, but he was well respected and always welcome. He, I've only spoke with him a few times, but seemingly his village was founded of survivors, is full of survivors. You know, he actually comes from Silren. He, one of the border towns. Most of his village was destroyed, but they were able to get out. Some of them, I understand. They sought refuge in the glade, which many of us thought was quite a strange turn of events, given how dangerous the glade can be. Yeah, I don't know all of the details, but it sounded like quite a harrowing tale of survival. If anybody could live in the glade, it would be them.
Excuse me, sir. I couldn't help but overhear. Did you say Barnabas and the halflings that have found a home in the glade comes from Silver?
Indeed, yes. It was a little village. They didn't mention the name of it, but he didn't mention the name of it. But the village was set upon by seemingly Theron Terry squadron. They burned and pillaged and took what they wanted, and
yes,
several were left dead.
They do have Emma sort of blinks a little quickly and tries to take a deep breath and says, yes, I know the tales. You said you didn't know where he which village they came from, but do you happen to know whereabouts in Silwen, or which area they used to hail from, or was he not the talkative type?
Barnabas was never one for telling tales, and to see the torment in his eyes, I imagine it was somewhere not too far away from the glade. Sought there. They certainly seem to know enough of it to set up a society. Unfortunately, no, I'm not sure.
Oh, so you're saying the attacks happened closer by here and not in Silvan?
No, I believe that they were in Silren, but on the border, one of the villages on the border between Silren and
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
It's not a problem.
Yes, I'm gonna go get a drink. If you'll excuse me. And Emma sort of retreats and goes to sit on the table with the sleeping drunk, while whispering, excuse me, can I have something to drink, please?
Who are you asking?
The innkeeper.
Oh, right, Cassandra.
Yeah,
She sort of jolts a little, like she was deep in thought, and nods. Oh yes, of course. one moment. And she goes behind the counter into the room and a pint for you and brings it out. Gives it to you. There you are.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
And Emma's gonna sit with that for a while.
Alright.
Kash has noticed that someone has put some kind of attempted salad on his plate and goes to feed it to the goat.
And the goat looks up at you, and he's got a piece of cloth in his mouth that he managed to tear free from his master's clothing, and he's just looking at you. His eyes are kind of buggy, yellow, the slitted eyes, and he kind of considers you with beard kind of rocking back and forth with the motion of his jaw. He lets out a little bleat.
Listen, we both know it's bullshit, but apparently you lot are idiots, so go on.
He sort of sniffs. He sniffs at the plate, looks at you, looks at the plate again, and then, if a goat could shrug, maybe he would have shrugged. And he kind of leans forward and starts snuffing at the plate, going for the salady bits, just with as much enthusiasm as he did the trouser leg.
So, Bennett, we've heard a lot about this glade being dangerous, but we haven't heard any specifics. At least I haven't.
Well, it's well documented. Phrea, it's always been a village rule since I can remember, since my father, his father. It's just very dangerous. Things that live glade. There have been a few people over the years who have ventured in. None of them have come back.
What kind of things are in the glade that we should be afraid of?
Well, you hear stories about all... sorry. Am I cutting in and out again? Like, what's happening?
A little bit. It's not as
my
bad as before.
God.
It's enough that you can piece together what you're saying,
Well, that's frustrating. Hold on.
but it's still happening, yeah.
It did get a little bit better when you moved your mic a tad closer to your face. I don't know if you can put it like at the edge of your mouth or not.
Just in case it's
Not,
a noise
not
gate
in your
thing.
mouth.
It's tasty! Sorry, it's just when I do male voices, I have to go really soft because I can't do a deep voice really loud. Anyway, so sorry. The question. All right. So he strokes his chin. It's got about 2 days worth of beard growth. And he kind of scritches his hands over it and considers and looks at you and says, well, given that there are hardly ever any returning people from there, we're not really sure exactly what's there.
So it's either really bad or really good. If they don't come back.
Fair to say that it's very bad. Many of the people who went were young people who had their whole lives in front of them and family ties to the village.
I think what our friend is suggesting, that there was something there that was too good to leave. Like a fountain of beer. Or a lot of
He kind of he looks at you like,
A
what the fuck?
never-ending ham.
Would you really stay in the glade if there was just a fountain of beer?
Is that a serious question?
I'm beginning to rethink my position here.
I was just giving examples. No, that would not be enough to entice me to stay in the glade. But young people, if I know one thing about young people, they love their alcohol.
They also love their families.
Meh.
Their security.
Did you just say meh?
Yes, but he did it in an accent that was appropriate for the character.
Sure. Okay.
Nailed it.
He just looks at you and says, I knew 2 of the boys who went in. There is no way they would have deserted their families.
So danger it is.
Indeed.
Has anyone ever, I know you all have interacted with Barnabas quite a bit. Have you ever discussed with him the tribulations and trials that he's had to go through to live in such a dangerous place?
Barnabas has always been an enigma. He, when asked, he would smile and shrug and a knowing look on his face as if to say, oh, you poor man, you know nothing. It was a bit condescending, but I liked him anyway.
Well, from what Lionel said earlier, Bob, Bottlewhite, Bus had a way of sidestepping the issues that might come across other people. He had some hidden way of getting in and out of the glade without going past all these trials.
Bennett
You're
looks.
gonna join us at the table, or are you just gonna sit and shout from across the room?
I'm just gonna enjoy my ham, thank you very much.
I didn't realize he was over here.
I'm certain the other patrons are not appreciative.
Augustus kind of pipes.
Fine! And I pick up my half a pig and I bring it over to the table. There!
Augustus, thank fuck, to be honest.
I apologize on his behalf.
Nah, thanks. He's the man who speaks is Storm. You would know that's Augustus. He is the blacksmith, or was the blacksmith before his daughter took over after he had a very unfortunate smelting accident that left him unable to work in the forge. He now kind of manages the more boring part of having a business, and he's very bitter about it, but he loves his kids, so he kind of tries not to show it too much.
Who was that again? Sorry.
Augustus.
Augustus.
the
No.
hair.
Former
You-
blacksmith.
Yeah, you'd know him as well. Not maybe as well as Storm, seeing how Storm has kind of,
Bit of a
befriended.
forgy background, and
Mm.
not
I
like in
probably
a
bought
bad way.
bolts off him.
His daughter's name is not Brigida.
Ah!
What I get there?
No, his daughter's name is Adelaide. And she kind of spends most of her time in the forge. You don't really see her around town that often, except sometimes
What's
to
her
drag
name?
her. Adelaide.
She looks like a badass.
Yeah, she is. She's about 19 years old and has been spending the last year slinging iron, making sure that the family business doesn't go under because her father can't do it anymore. So she spends most of her time shoeing horses, crafting things that the town needs, as well as she has a bit of a side business of kind of trying to tinker and make pretty things as well. But for the most part, she just she spends a lot of time in the forge and only rarely comes out to maybe get a bite to eat or to drag Augustus out of the pub. Yeah, so, sorry. Augustus is happy, and he goes back to his own dinner, shaking his head like, fucking tourists. What are you gonna do? As you all are kind of sitting around discussing, Barnabas and the history around the swamp, little Tucker over here, he's looking a little pale. And as he's tuning his lute, he keeps it seems like he keeps losing his place. And he sort of, like, he goes to tune another string, and he slumps forward, and he actually breaks the string and falls to the ground just in a heap. And
Do I
Maud sort of-
notice that?
Yeah, I'd say so, because it's
Yeah,
it's not a large room.
Cassandra! And I'd rush towards him.
Maud comes as well, and Cassandra. Tucker, oh gosh, are you alright? So Maud kind of comes in and, oh gosh, okay, give me room, and she sort of gets down and kneels down and takes Tucker's wrist in her hand, and she sort of puts the hand to his forehead, and she's like, oh Cassandra, he's burning up. He's not well. And she looks, but he was fine this morning. I don't understand. And little Tucker's breathing is a little bit harsh and raspy, and there's sweat beading on his forehead, and he's very, very pale.
Kash steps in and scoops him up. Where's his room? I'll come up for you.
It's back behind the storage room. Just off the storage room at the back. If you go through the kitchen, Eudora can show you. Oh,
So I carry him through to the room and put him down on the cots.
okay.
Does he look similar at all to the sickness that was out at the farm?
If you want to roll me a check. Medicine, yeah. Well, he's pale. And he's trembling. And he's passed out. So there's those things that are concerning. A few of them overlap, but... I mean, he seems worse off than even Phineas had been. And he's not responding to anything when Maud tries to rouse him with a bit of water, a cool cloth on his head. She goes to there's a little sideboard here near the bed, and she notes the water pitcher, and she sort of looks at it, and she says to Thompus, please take this into the kitchen and boil it for me, will you?
Thompus, is there a tub or like something large and clean in the area where I could create water with a spell?
There's a barrel. There's an empty barrel in the storage room that you could use.
Okay. Do I feel like that's clean enough to like?
It's a bit dusty, but if you gave it a little bit of a wipe down, it should be fine.
Okay, I'll take that picture, put it on a burner, and then do that.
Okay.
Wipe down the barrel and cast, which gives me 10 gallons of clean water.
Cool. Okay.
Emma has been following and quietly watching, and then she asks the mom and Maud, sorry to intrude, I know this is a time of crisis, but I can call upon the healing powers of the divine. Am I permitted to try to heal your son?
Please, yes, of course. Absolutely. Anything. Maud, what is wrong with him? And Maud's sort of looking him over. He's like the others. I've never seen this before, Cassandra.
Okay. Emma is going to use her lay on hands.
Okay.
And put them, holding them on him,
Okay.
and using all the points that can cure an illness or an infection or whatever.
Okay. Well, so you move to the bed and you close your eyes and you rest your hands on Tucker's forehead, and you feel the light of Helm come into you. Your patron is with you, and as you try to bestow the power from your own being into the boys, something is wrong. It's not reacting how it should, and the boy has no response.
What? I don't understand. This works. This should always work. I don't. Why isn't it? There's something. I am so sorry, Cassandra. There's something blocking the effects of Helm's power.
It's all right. Look,
This is beyond a mortal illness.
Thank you for trying. Bennett, what will we do? And Bennett just sort of looks pale and worried and concerned, and he doesn't know what to do. I would ask Maud, but she doesn't know either.
I would suggest you feed the child only. Food
Sorry?
that's come. Sorry.
No, you said it, but I didn't hear what you said.
I would suggest you feed and water this child with only things that come from as far away from the glade as possible, if that is where the miasma has come from.
What do you mean? We draw our water from the village well, like everybody else in town.
Well,
I'm going to go and leave the room and move towards Storm.
Okay.
here's 10 gallons of water that didn't come from your well.
Thank you.
Use it.
Maud kind of nods and smiles and says, "Thank you, Thompus. This will be very useful."
The rest of you should drink from this as well. I can create more tomorrow.
Alright.
Perhaps we should issue our plans to wait for Linus and head to the glade immediately.
Emma is pacing back and forwards, really, really frustrated and out of her mind that lay on hands didn't work.
Storm, whatever you used to get a feel towards the glade earlier, can you try it again? Seems the sickness has found its way here too.
Like, within the town?
Yeah, the little one's just fallen ill. Seems to be of the same type as the illness we found out at the farm.
I can certainly try. And she'll take 10 minutes to cast it was detect magic that picked it up earlier, and then she'll maybe walk around town for a few minutes just to see if she can pick up the same weird vein-like aura that she got prior, especially like near the town well.
Okay. So you take the 10 minutes and you focus and you cast the spell, and as you wander around the town, nothing quite so vividly coherent as what you saw at the farm, but there are snatches of this veiny magical aura that seems to permeate the ground, and it is quite concentrated near the well. And as you're walking through the town, you notice it's quieter than usual. There are several people who are walking around the market, and they don't look well either. One of them kind of comes up and extends a shaky hand and tries to draw the bucket from the well to bring more water over to their cart to give to their patron, or the people who are helping them sell their wares, their family members and things. It is a very hot day, so people have been at the well quite often today.
Okay. Yeah, she knows that it's not poison or disease because that didn't pick up. She knows that her other spell probably will not work. So she's gonna head back to the inn and tell everyone what's happened, what she's seen, and specifically warn Maud that she's probably going to see a lot more cases of this, whatever it is.
Okay. Maud looks stricken by the news. She breathes heavy and nods to herself. Then we must get those roots, those herbs. I cannot. They're the only thing that's going to ease the pain, and the only thing that could potentially heal them that I know of. Although, perhaps that's stating too much. If your friend's divine magic could not heal him.
In the meantime, I would suggest leaving any empty barrels you have outside.
Any empty bowels?
Barrels. And perhaps some sails to increase the coverage. Collect as much rainwater as you can.
Yes.
All right. Yes.
And get meats that have been dried and from before a week ago.
And Cassandra starts to nod and looks to Bennett. Bennett, please. We need to spread the word. I know you're worried about panic, but people need to know. And Bennett sort of hangs his head and rubs his face, and he looks like he's struggling with the idea. He doesn't want people to panic, but he knows, looking at his son, that he has to say something. All right. I shall go and say. Tell the word. I'll go to the market and let them know immediately that the well is off limits. I don't think 10 gallons is going to be enough to cater to the town, but perhaps if we boil the water, isn't that typically what you do? And he looks to Maud, and Maud nods and says, with a normal illness, that would be the thing to purify the water. I cannot guarantee that it will do the same in this case.
Yeah, I'm not sure that this is a normal thing. I'm only picking it up through detecting magic.
Any liquids, any drinks that you've been prepared prior to a week ago might escape
All right.
the illness. Any I know you can't serve beer to the little ones, but any weaker drinks that have been taken from the fruits might do the job
Perhaps
just as well.
We could water it down with the good water, perhaps. That way it won't affect them, but could get them drinking liquids.
And I would say any advice you could give in a calm voice will cause less panic than people falling ill.
Bennett nods and agrees with you and says, yes, I have to go. I'll be back. And he kisses his wife on the forehead, walks over and swipes the hair from his son's brow with a worried expression, and then leaves.
Before you do, if you could also advise to be a bit earlier than dinner time before we have to leave, that would be helpful.
He nods again. This time, not even looking at you. He's already halfway across the pub or across the room. He's leaving. He's got a mission, and he's following it because he seems to be the type of person who, when crisis happens, he needs something that he can do, just to keep himself busy and feel like he's helping.
Thompus is going to go find the loot that was broken when he fell ill, and I'm going to cast Mending and try and repair it.
Aw, okay.
And if that works, I will bring it into the room and set it next to the kid.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Emma's gone to pray in the corner.
Kash just feels bad that all of his skill set is surrounded around breaking things.
Just start key punching his legs. Wake up!
Jesus.
No, I'm not even at that level yet. I'm useless.
I mean, you carried him.
Sorry, did you tell Bennett to go also to the dock?
Yeah, I think Kash asked him to on the way back. Or on his way out the door, he said, "Could you tell him to hurry up or whatever?" Is there anything else anybody else is thinking of doing, or?
I am going to talk to Cassandra real quick.
Okay.
Cassandra, it seems I'm going to be gone for some time with this mission. You've treated me very well, and I appreciate everything you've done for me.
You've been a great help, Thompus. Thank you.
I'm glad to have been of assistance. I'm going to need a couple of flasks with your strongest liquor in them.
I beg your pardon?
2 or 3 flasks with your strongest spirit.
All right. Is there a reason that you need? I mean, I'm happy to provide it, but that's a lot of alcohol, Thompus.
I'm not sure how long I'm going to be gone, and I'm going to need it. Please.
She gives you a worried look, and like she has had that conversation with you. She's had a couple of conversations with you since you've been there, just expressing some concern over the fact that you kind of drink a lot, and she's worried. She doesn't want. Are you sure you'll be okay? There's a lot to be facing in the glade. You need all your senses.
It dulls. The dreams aren't as severe.
Oh, I see. Yes, of course, Thompus. If that's something that you need, I'm happy to provide it. Hopefully, you can find out what's causing this, and maybe we can get things turned around here. This town, this village will not survive if its members all succumb to this. And if it is magical, who's to say it won't spread farther? All right. So she kind of wrings her hands into her kind of apron front, and she goes into the storeroom and starts setting about getting you. She finds 3 water skins that she fills with her strongest liquor.
Would I know about how much that would cost?
Probably. You've been working there a week, and you've been around enough places that you could probably estimate how much that would cost. But she kind of, as you go to like pull out your purse, she just gestures to you and says, "No, don't. It's anything I can do to provide help to my son. is fine. If this is going to help you figure out what's going on and maybe put a stop to it, it's worth the cost to me.
He's going to give her the 5 gold pieces that he has, and he's going to say, "You're going to need help with Tucker out of commission as well while I'm gone. So take this, do what you need with it. If you have any left, I'll gladly take it on my return."
Alright. If you're sure. Do keep yourself safe, Thompus.
I'll do what I can. Thank you again.
Right.
I'm just gonna move out to where Winter and Storm are. I don't know how long we can afford to wait here. Perhaps we should leave some coin for Linus to get a steed and catch up with us on the path.
This whole thing over the next hour or so, or over the hour of all of the conversations and all of the kind of the back and forth that has happened, you kind of more and more people seem to be coming to the inn. Bennett enters and says, goes into the back room and says to Cassandra, we need to mobilize. Like he starts pulling pallets out of the storage room and laying them in the common room. There's more people have collapsed. We have to provide them. We have to find somewhere for them. Mods isn't big enough. So as he's saying this, people are. No, I'm not putting tokens up for all of this, but people are filing into with their loved ones in arms, and among them is Phineas, looking frail and weak and struggling to walk, with Tilly passed out in his arms. They are not doing well. Hester is trailing behind them, barely upright. And in an hour and a half, the inn is full of ill people who have no way to be healed that anyone can tell.
When Emma heard him say that, she got up immediately to help put out cots and blankets and mattresses and helping get everyone comfortable, and in a desperate attempt, when she sees the little girl that enjoyed the rat killing so much, she tries to lay on hands again, but I'm assuming it won't work.
Unfortunately, as you concentrate and try to push the magic forward, there's something about the illness itself that is blocking the divine magic from taking effect.
Yeah. So she keeps doing what she hopes she can do. Tears of frustration from helplessness, sort of, in her eyes, slightly shaking. And when she's done, she walks over to Khan and Thom and Winter. Like, we have to do something. We can't just watch this happen. Should we really wait for Linus until tomorrow evening?
I don't know.
Honey, listen, if there's anything that we could do, we'd be doing it. If we go into the glade without a guide, it sounds like we might not make it out, or we do find something different than what we're looking for anyway.
It sounds to me like Linus isn't gonna have much of his staff left by the end of the day. I'm of half a mind to carry him into the glade myself.
We should at least take up on him, because if he gets ill too, then we're certainly in trouble.
As you say this, Linus kind of comes through the door, cursing up a storm. He comes in. That freckle-faced fuck is sick. Looks like half the fucking town is sick. Are you all ready to go? Yes, really.
I have nobody to mind the dock, but seeing as most of the fishermen are sick as well, it seems that the dock doesn't need much tending. And you kind of look at him, and it seems like he's actually he's donned some armor. He's got some chainmail on. He has with him strapped to his back what appears to be a trident, as well as a pack of javelins across his back as well. What you didn't notice before, and what possibly Storm might have perchance noticed, there is a tattoo along his neck that resembles it's a wave cresting and parting in an hourglass sort of form, and it's actually the holy symbol of Umberlee, the god of the sea. He has a stance about him that he didn't have when he was having his dinner before. There is a sort of straightness, not quite a soldier stance, but very much a man with purpose, with a divine duty that he feels that he has. And you can see hanging around his neck is a holy symbol of Umberlee as well.
The bitch queen. Sorry, I just wanted to say it.
Fitting.
And he kind of he looks at you all and is like, well, let's go then. Not a moment to waste. I'll go with you, obviously to guide you, but I figured I'd bring whatever tools I have. It's been a while since I called on the divine power of my goddess, but needs must. Seems like this is the time.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, sir.
Then he just looks at you and nods, and he sort of rolls his eyes, but not like he's rolling his eyes at you, but more just kind of exasperated, like, oh, for fuck's sake, I can't believe this is where my day is going. Yeah, all right, let's go. Do you all have everything you need?
Is there any use in packing up my horse with supplies, or should we just backpack it?
He kind of he smiles, and you can kind of get a look at his ill-kept teeth, and like he's missing one of his things here, and they're a little bit yellowy brown, and he laughs, and he's like, you'd no more get a horse in that glade. It's on foot we'll go, and it'll take days to do it. But if we want to come back to a town that actually has people still in it, I suggest we travel as quickly as possible.
Fine.
Oh, sorry, I'm laughing because Winter really doesn't seem to enjoy that answer. As you guys head for the door, Cyrus jolts up and oh, well, the horse flies took my wallet. Give us another. And
maybe you should set your priorities straight, sir.
What took his wallet?
Horse flies.
I'm writing down all of the things that Cyrus says.
Ew, that's an interesting idea. Ooh, you have pointy ears. Look, Barley. The goat just lays there and cheers at you.
Do not let that goat drink anything out of the well.
What's that?
See them people? The water in the well's not good.
Are we having a sleepover?
Make sure that goat drinks only beer, wine, or anything older than a week.
I don't think that would be a problem. Now,
he gives you a gap tooth grin and says, like, "Brian, that's what he always drinks. Why do you think I gave him the name Barley? That's my boy." And he just pats the head really, like, he gives the goat like a pat on the head, but it's really rough. And you would think that the goat would complain, but he just gives this like long-suffering look of like, yeah, this is my life.
And he gestures for more ale as you guys are heading out. And I think that we will have to leave that session there.
Thanks for running, Amanda. That was super fun.
Yeah,
good.
good game, dude.
Thanks,
Good game.
Amanda. You're welcome.
It was
I'm glad you had fun. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.